Well, hello there all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, where we talk about nature while playing games. We are back in Empire of the Ants. Haha, it's lovely to be back here. I have completed that one tutorial mission, so now we are ready to carry on with some of the other ones. But before we do, two very important things. First of all, just a reminder that there is of course still the discount at gamesplanet.com if you use the code Ecologist to get a nice 14% discount on Empire of the Ants if you go buy it there. But secondly, very importantly, last time in the previous mission, and you can watch that on the link up at the top there, also linked at the end of this video, I asked a question. I mentioned briefly in one of the little captions there that ants can actually determine distance based on the amount of strides they take. And I didn't really go into that in depth. And today we are going to answer the question of, okay, how does an ant know how far it has traveled? So let's look at how ants can actually do that. But let's say you're an ant and one of these Sahara ants, these Cataglyphus fortis species that they looked at in one of these studies. These ants are only active for a very short period of time per day, about 3 or 5 minutes in the middle of the day when all other predators are inactive, so they are not in danger. They have frantic periods of the day during which they all run around looking for food. And let's say the ant runs out of here and it goes vroom, all the way over here, and it just ran in this direction, and let's say it finds a dead insect right over here. This is now food. Now it has to get back to the nest. First thing they will do is they will look up and they look at the position of the sun. And based on where the sun was when they set out from the nest, they can now retrace their steps back in that direction. So they know, okay, I've got to go back in that direction. But now they still need to figure out how far in that direction do I need to head before I need to start looking for my nest. Because what they will do is they will start heading back. Now, not quite as fast as I'm running, but let's do that. And they will run, and then at some point they go, okay, I know my house is around here somewhere. The nest is around here somewhere. And this is when they go into a bit more of a searching mode. They run around a little bit more loop-de-loops looking for their nest. And when they then find it, they go, okay, cool, I have found my nest. And they go into the nest. All right. So firstly, they look at the direction they need to go based on the position of the sun. And then secondly, they know after a certain distance, this is when they should start looking for their nest. But how do they know how far they have traveled? One of the hypotheses was that they look at how much energy they expend going from the nest to where they found the insect. And then they basically spend that amount of energy again heading back to the nest. That's the energy expenditure hypothesis. But another ingenious hypothesis that they then tested is that maybe, just maybe, the ants measured somehow the number of steps they took getting from their nest to where they found the food item. And now they can kind of count steps again from here back to their nest. And the way they did it was by taking some ants in an experimental setting and then first getting them used to where their nest is and then where the food is, in a feeder basically. So they knew, okay, we can actually find food right over here, and they ran back and forth between the nest and the food receptacle. And then they took the ants. And when I say they, it's Whitlinger, Wenner, and Wolf. They did a study on this in 2006, and they published it in the journal Science. So that was quite a prestigious study. But what they did is they took some of these ants, 50 of them, I believe. 25 of them, they increased the length of the legs, and 25 of them, they shortened it. Now, shortening of the legs meant they cut it about there. Around about there, all the legs were chopped off, surgically removed, amputated. So basically, these ants were running around on stumps. And the other half, they increased the length by putting them on stilts. They attached pig bristles, pig hair basically, on their legs, increasing their length by about 50% if I'm not mistaken. But they only did this after the ants already made the journey from their nest over there to the feeder. So they already counted their steps, going, okay, I took 50 steps from the nest to right over here. That means I need to take 50 steps back from here to where the nest is. And what they then found is that the ants on stumps, they said, okay, I'm going to take 50 steps. Well, I didn't say it, but they probably thought it somehow in their little insect brains. They said, okay, I'm going to take 50 steps. And they took 50 steps. And then they started round about here looking for the nest, going, where can my nest be? I know I left it here somewhere. Dude, who moved my nest? And they actually started searching for their nest much sooner than they should have, because, well, they had stubby legs, and as any of you with shorter legs walking next to a person with longer legs can attest, if you are walking with shorter legs, you need to take many more steps to travel the same distance as someone with longer legs. So the ants with stumps, they started looking for the nest sooner than the nest actually was. The ants on stilts, however, they suddenly had longer strides, and after, let's say, 50 strides, they started looking for their nest, but they had already passed where the nest actually is, so they were looking in a completely wrong area beyond where the nest was, about 50% longer than the distance they needed to travel. So they were like, okay, dude, someone moved my nest over here as well. Where on earth is my nest? And yeah, they overestimated the distance to their nest, whereas the ants on stumps underestimated the distance to the nest. But they also tested and said, okay, let's say we get the ants used to the direction they need to travel to get to food. The ants know they need to travel to that stick over there, for example, to get food. But before they set off, we actually adjust their leg length. So we give some of them stumps and some of them stilts. Then the ants had no problem. They were walking on stilts and they go, okay, I took 30 steps to get to the feeder over here. I need to take 30 steps to get back to the nest. And they actually perfectly adjusted for that. So with the longer legs, they go, okay, counting steps again and get to the food. With the shorter legs, with the stumps, they just took more steps to get from the nest to where the food is. And then they were able to perfectly, almost perfectly, make their way back to the nest. Having counted the steps from the nest to where the food is, they could then count the steps back accurately back to the nest. Now the scientists are not saying that, listen, ants actually count how many steps they take to get from point A to point B, but internally there must be a clock that kind of keeps track of how many steps does it take to get from point A to point B. And that, along with the celestial bodies, the sun in this case, in the sky, giving them indication of direction, must be how at least some ants, like those desert ants, they are able to travel and find food and find the nests again in a very short span of time based on those. And I think that is absolutely fascinating. Now, back to some missions at hand. As you can see here, we've got a number of missions. We've got a tactical one there, stockpiling. We've got foothold over here, which is a strategy one. We've got buying time, another strategy, another exploration over there behind enemy lines. Sure, another tactical one, holding the line. And then we also have snailing out of here, which is another tactical one. I think next time we are going to do the snailing out of here one. That one we are going to do then. But for now, I think, let's go do stockpiling. Because, well, our ants would be doing that. Well, maybe not this colony, because, listen, girls, your colony is being flooded. I don't think this is the best time to be stockpiling. But these ants want to stockpile. So, this time of year, in spring, heading into summer, the ants are already, normally at least, stockpiling. So, it makes sense that some of them at least would want to still go stockpile. So, let's try stockpiling. I don't think I actually have ever done stockpiling. Hello, dragonfly. That is a beautiful dragonfly. Let's see. Ant 160180. What is stockpiling all about? They are ready for the exodus, for moving out of this colony, but the queen has a request for me. We need as many resources as possible before leaving. Food to survive, wood to build the new city. So when looking for where the food actually is, there is an area, but the land is split in two. So there are two sections of land, and we need to find what we can in that environment. I think I know this mission. I think I may have done it already previously. So I may have an idea of what goes on there. Okay, so let's go do that, shall we? Okay, so here, as we can see, we're at Western Tayukan, and there is a section of land on that side and a section of land on this side. And there is a stream in between. So it's going to take a lot of time to actually travel between these 2 points. That's potentially a problem. Now, we will need to be smart in how we do things here. So, first of all, what we are going to do, because we need a lot of units, we are going to plop down a mushroom farm right over here. We're also going to plop down another mushroom farm in this nest right over here. And then let's grab some veteran soldiers, shall we? Actually, you know what? Door beetles could actually win this thing for us. Yeah, you know what? Let's take door beetles. Why waste energy getting ants if you can get door beetles? It's going to take a while to get them up and running, but this will be fine. I'm sure this will be fine. Now we do only have about 19 minutes left to do this. As you can see here, this section will be very difficult to traverse. It takes a lot of time to run from this side over to that side. Time better spent doing other things. So what I am going to grab, and this is one of the few times I think when it is actually a very useful power to grab, is burrows. I am going to grab burrows though. So let's just go over here and get burrows. I'm just going to quickly fast travel to that side. It's going to take me 20 wood to make a wood yard right over here, just so that we can get some more wood as we go along as well. Now, of course, I need to actually run along back to where we were, but it does reduce the amount of time I spend walking between the one side and the other. Because as you can see, this is quite a treacherous environment to walk. There we go, door beetles are ready. The problem is that, well, my door beetles on that side cannot run over to the other side. Only we can actually traverse this landscape. Not very well, but we can. And now everything on this side is in danger. Now this is going to be scramble competition. This entire map is going to be scramble competition. In essence, we're trying to grab as many resources as possible, as quickly as possible. We're not setting up territories and keeping out everyone from our territories. We are literally just grabbing as much as we can. Now, if there were another ant colony and we were actually trying to control the different areas, well, that would have been an example of interference competition. But in this case, this is typical scramble competition. Our door beetles are doing marvelously. Almost have defeated these firebugs here. Okay, go to the closest nest with that. Thank you, thank you. Now, while we are at it, let's just make some gunners, shall we? I'm just going to make veteran gunners. I don't want to wait and make the elite gunners. Also, I'm not sure whether they would be that useful. I think for now, having door beetles and veteran gunners will be sufficient. We can make another wood yard. That is going to be very useful. Let's get that up and running. Slowly but surely, the wood is going to tick in. Okay, door beetles, you've got some more firebugs to get rid of so that we can get some more wood. There was a question in my previous video on the door beetles about whether ants and beetles actually do sometimes have these types of symbiotic relationships or interactions, or whether the ants have domesticated or partnered up or anything along those lines with beetles. But it seems we don't know of any beetles and ants working together like we have in the game here. Now, there are some mutualistic relationships in essence where ants and their insect partners like the aphids and so, they both benefit. But none of those mutualistic relationships are actually between ants and beetles. There are some commensalistic relationships, in other words, the ants are not affected, but the beetles are positively impacted. We do find that in some beetle species, but we don't have mutualism between ants and beetles. Not that we know of, at least. I must also say that because we often discover something new in the world, so, not yet. Just going to plop down a storage as well so that we can actually store 350 eventually. What are we getting here? We're getting food here. Oh, that's going to be marvelous. And we can also just grab our ranged attackers, our gunners. They're coming in as well. Now, what do I want? I can go to that burrow over there. What I want is a mushroom farm over here. That's what I want. And now, of course, we need to get back. So what I'm going to do is, door beetles, you can come to this nest over here. Ranged gunners, you can come there as well. We are going to be fighting in a moment. I just need to get to the other side again. I really need to get burrows level 2 as well. That's kind of what I am going for now. Because there's no point I can travel fast to the one side and then I'm stuck on that side. Now, the thing is that technically, we wouldn't be able to have a burrow connecting, or not easily at least. What was that? That's a jumping spider. Look at that. There's a jumping spider. Oh my word. Okay, I did not know the jumping spiders were in this map. In this mission, but we need to get ready because, it's only 12 minutes left. We're almost half time. Okay, so, door beetles, attack! Okay, so I think, there we go. The ladybugs are being attacked. Now, normally, of course, these bright colors will indicate, listen, I am poisonous, don't mess with me. And they are, in fact, toxic, but we are not fighting them to actually eat them. We are fighting them to get access to the wood that is over here. That is why we are fighting them, and we're doing a very good job at that. There we go. Off goes the wood. Now, I do believe we will need another storage expansion. So let's just grab that. Then we can get everything stored that we need to complete this mission. Now, we have got a few things over there that we can still grab. There is 150 food. There is 150 wood. That is, I think that's on the other side. Okay, so that is on the other side. What I do need now is to get some troops on that side. I have seen how well the door beetles work. So what I'm going to do now is, oh, I can't get more door beetles. Oh, that sucks. Okay, I'm going to get elite warriors on this side. That is what I'm going to do on this side. And in this nest over here, yeah, this one over here, I am going to grab, I think, elite gunners. You know what? We're going to go for that. And then I'm just going to travel to that nest over there. Now, this is very useful, the fact that we have the burrows to go that way and back. Yeah, we've got some ladybugs to kill over here, ladybird beetles. And that is exactly what we're going to do. We're just waiting for them to give up the high ground. Screw it, we're going in. Now they, of course, are going to give up the high ground. Spray them with formic acid. You know what we are going to do, though? One thing we can do is to grab workers. We don't need good ones. I think level 1, tier 1 workers will do well. We're just going to send them to constantly harvest food over here. There we go. And you guys take the food to the closest nest. Thank you. And now we can head on over to that side. Now, technically, we wouldn't be able to make burrows from that side to this side because, well, the area is flooded. So we'd have to dig somehow underneath where all the water actually is underground. But who cares? We don't need that accurate representation of how things are. And there we go. Okay, so our units are now ready. I am just going to group this one to the right and group this one to the right. Okay, so now we've got a group on the right, these two groups over here, these two legions, and we've got a group on the left-hand side, or the other side of, looking that way, is the left-hand side of the bank. That'll be the 3 sections of the 3 legions over there. Now, we will only be controlling these ones over here. Let's get them to attack the firebugs. I think we should be able to make this. We just need enough food. That's what we need to target. There's 50 food over there. 150 wood. We don't need to worry about that. There's 150 food over there. Okay, so if we can grab that food over there and this food over here, we should be able to do this. No problem. I always like having some kind of legion, melee legion, that locks the enemy in place, and then my ranged ones can spray formic acid from the back. Although it would be interesting to see how an entirely gunner legion, gunner army does against the enemy. I don't think they'll do well. I mean, it just takes something that's very good against gunners to wipe them out. Okay, everybody, head on over to that nest over there. Now, if we get enough food and wood, resources like that, I'm not sure whether wood would be the most important resources to go for now for the colony. But if we get enough food, yeah, that would allow us to actually start a new colony, like move the colony that is currently being flooded. We can actually start a new colony and have resources to start with, so that we don't have to spend time looking for food when we actually have the new colony started. So, makes sense that we would want to get food, but yeah, let's be honest, this is maybe not should probably not be priority number 1 for our colony that is being flooded. Nonetheless, we get more wood over here. That means we are now really going to be set. I didn't even get rage hormone or anything along those lines. Would have been useful, I think. There we go. Max wood has been achieved. And that is exactly the amount we need. And here we go. The last fight. Wow. Look at that ant just picking. Oh, wow. There goes the ladybug. Wow. Another one. Another one. All of them are flying all over the place. Yeah, you better run. Oh, you're attacking. Oh, fascinating. Awesome. You could actually see the one. Oh, there we go. We achieved what we should have achieved. Cool. Okay, but I was going to say you could actually see them lifting up their wings, their wing covers, the elytra, and then underneath you could see the wings there for a moment. There, the flood levels are rising as well. Okay, so this area is now officially being flooded, but we have gotten the resources out of that area that we needed. And of course, now we are back at Tayukan. Now, next time we will be doing snailing it out of here. There we go, snailing out of here. We're going to do that one. But for now, this is where we are going to call it a day, everybody. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'll be back on Friday with another Towers of a Gas Pile episode. So come and join me then for something different as well. Of course, if you've got any questions, do feel free to pop it down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. That really, really helps as well. And until next time then, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Bye. Sahara ants, these Cataglyphus fortis species that was looked at in that was looked at blah, blah. That they looked at in one of these studies